The door opens, and there they stand. A familiar face changed by time. The light catches them differently now, casting shadows where once there were none. Their eyes hold stories you haven't heard. Their hands have touched worlds you haven't seen. In that first breath of recognition, something shifts. The ground beneath your feet becomes both solid and uncertain. You remember them as they were. The laugh that filled rooms, the way they leaned against door frames, the particular rhythm of their footsteps on wooden floors. But standing before you now is someone else, someone who carries those memories like photographs in a wallet, worn at the edges, but no longer living in them. The air between you hums with unspoken questions. Who have you become in their absence? Who have they become in yours? This is the psychology of the returning stranger, that quiet moment when past and present collide, when the person you knew and the person they are now stand in the same body, and you must reconcile the two. It's in these reunions that we confront the most fundamental human paradox, the simultaneous need for belonging and the inevitable pull of change. We speak of home as a place, but home is really a person, or the memory of one. And when that person returns, changed, we're forced to ask, can we ever truly go home again? Or is home something we carry within us, something that changes as we do? The returning stranger holds up a mirror to our own transformation. In their unfamiliar familiarity, we see the silent story of who we were and who we have become. Attachment theory tells us that our earliest relationships form the blueprint for how we connect throughout our lives. We develop internal working models, mental maps of what to expect from others, what we deserve, how love should feel. These models become the foundation upon which we build our sense of belonging. But what happens when the people who helped create those blueprints change? When the familiar landmarks of connection shift beneath our feet? The returning stranger disrupts our attachment patterns. They challenge the very foundations of how we understand relationship and continuity. We expect consistency. The comfort of knowing someone will be as we remember them. But growth demands change, and change requires that we leave parts of ourselves behind. This creates a psychological tension between our need for stable attachment and our capacity for transformation. John Bowlby, the father of attachment theory, spoke of the secure base, that safe harbor from which we can explore the world. But what happens when the harbor itself changes? When the lighthouse keeper has learned new languages, seen new shores, and can no longer guide us by the same stars? The returning stranger represents this paradox. They are both our secure base and our call to adventure, both anchor and sail. This tension between belonging and estrangement isn't a failure of connection. It's the natural consequence of living. Every meaningful relationship exists in the space between who we were together and who we're becoming apart. The discomfort we feel when someone returns changed isn't about them. It's about our own struggle to integrate the person we were with the person we are. The returning stranger becomes a living mirror of our own evolution. Identity reconstruction is the psychological process through which we rebuild our sense of self after significant life changes. It's not about becoming someone completely new, but about integrating our past experiences with our present reality. When we encounter a returning stranger, we're forced into this process, both for ourselves and in how we perceive them. The brain has a remarkable capacity called neuroplasticity. the ability to rewire itself based on experience. Every conversation, every journey, every loss and victory leaves neural traces that gradually reshape who we are. The person who returns to you has literally become a different neurological being. Their brain has formed new pathways. Their emotional responses have been recalibrated. Their perspective has been widened or narrowed by experiences you didn't share. Yet, we cling to continuity. We want to believe that at our core, we remain essentially the same person. This is what psychologists call narrative identity. The story we tell ourselves about who we are across time. The returning stranger challenges this narrative. They force us to confront the fact that identity isn't fixed, but fluid. A river constantly flowing, never the same water twice. Attachment theory helps us understand why this confrontation feels so unsettling. Our earliest attachments create what's called an internal working model, a mental template for relationships. When someone significant changes, it's as if the template itself has been altered. The secure base we counted on now feels unfamiliar. The predictable patterns of interaction are disrupted. We're left navigating without our usual maps. This is where the real psychological work begins. We must learn to hold multiple truths simultaneously, that this person is both who they were and who they've become, that our relationship can honor the past while embracing the present, that love can accommodate change without losing its essence. The returning stranger teaches us that attachment isn't about freezing people in time, but about learning to love the river as it flows. The most profound insight comes when we realize that we are all returning strangers, to ourselves, to each other, to the world. Every morning, we wake up slightly changed by yesterday's experiences. Every conversation leaves us different than we were before it. The person you were when you started reading this is not exactly the person reading these words now. We are constantly leaving and returning to ourselves, meeting the stranger we've become with varying degrees of recognition and surprise. There comes a moment in every reunion when the tension breaks, not with drama, but with quiet recognition. The defenses soften. The need to reconcile past and present gives way to simple presence. You look at this person, this returning stranger, and instead of seeing who they were or who they've become, you simply see who they are. And in that seeing, something shifts within you too. This is the emotional turning point where insight becomes compassion, where we stop trying to fit people into the boxes of our memories and begin to meet them where they stand. The returning stranger is no longer a disruption to our sense of continuity, but evidence of life's beautiful, necessary impermanence. They become living proof that growth is possible, that change is not betrayal but evolution. Attachment theory teaches us that secure attachment isn't about sameness. It's about reliability in the face of change. It's the confidence that connection can withstand transformation. When we can hold space for someone's growth while maintaining our bond with them, we're practicing the highest form of love. We're saying, I love who you were, I love who you are, and I will love who you're becoming. This reflection invites us to extend the same compassion to ourselves. We are all returning strangers to our own lives, meeting versions of ourselves we barely recognize, carrying memories that feel both intimate and distant. The person you were 5 years ago would likely find the person you are today both familiar and strange. And that's not failure, that's living. The returning stranger becomes our teacher in the art of loving what changes. They show us that the deepest connections aren't built on static memories, but on the willingness to keep discovering each other, to keep asking, "Who are you now?" and being brave enough to answer, "Let me show you." In the end, we come to understand that the returning stranger was never really a stranger at all. They were simply a mirror showing us the truth we'd been avoiding, that we are all in constant motion, all becoming, all leaving and returning to ourselves and each other in endless cycles of transformation. The tension between belonging and estrangement isn't a problem to be solved, but a dance to be learned. It's the rhythm of human connection, the push and pull between roots and wings, between the comfort of the familiar and the call of the unknown. The returning stranger teaches us that we can hold both without contradiction, that we can belong deeply while continuing to grow. Attachment theory ultimately reveals that the most secure base is not a person frozen in time, but the trust that connection can evolve. That love isn't about preserving someone as they were, but about witnessing their becoming. The returning stranger becomes evidence that our bonds are strong enough to withstand our transformations. So when the door opens and that familiar yet changed face appears, we can meet them not with resistance, but with curiosity, not with judgment, but with wonder. We can say, "Show me who you've become. Tell me what you've learned. And in return, I will show you who I am now." This is the quiet resolution that we are always both leaving and belonging. That home is not a place we return to, but a connection we carry. And that the most profound reunions happen not when we find each other unchanged, but when we recognize each other across the beautiful, necessary distance of our growth. The returning stranger was never coming home. They were bringing home with them, in the person they'd become.